Welcome everyone to this ClickCreate Curator Spotlight. This month we have Flow, curated by Unknown Collector. What was the inspiration for this curation's theme?
So I was searching for some kind of theme where I don't have to pressure artists into a theme, and that I just can find artists that fit into the theme naturally. And that reminded me of the flow state. It's a very, very famous concept when it comes to creativity, to be in a flow state. And I feel every artist knows about this feeling and every creative knows about this feeling. I actually wrote about it in my thesis in university. So it's something that always is in my mind and that always reminds me of creating art. Flow explores the movement, continuity, and seamless transition between states, whether in the nature and human experience or abstract concepts. The flow captures moments where the boundaries blur and elements of your life, they just seem to work together so perfectly that you don't even notice it, right? But it was very important to me to have something that represents not just the flow state in itself, but for this to also have an impact on the audience, I wanted to have it literally be represented very, very literally in some kind of way, just to connect faster with it, because I feel you can connect it instantly with flowing, with something that has its inner flow.
What lasting impression do you hope to achieve with this curation?
If you think about something very positively, there's always something on the other end, right? We are on social media. It's the opposite of being in the flow. Everything is fragmented, information is fragmented. And so for me, it's also to showcase to some degree the beauty of being in a flow state, of have everything flowing around you, being really in this zone with yourself, that you create something or that you are just in tune with yourself. Feel in flow with your environment, with your family, with nature, I don't know, just to be in tune with everything. This is something that we can't forget about, that we need to consciously go in and create the environment around us to still can be, because when we're always on social media, creating the opposite of being in the flow state. So it's something cool for me to talk about it and just remind also people and observers about this is something so beautiful what I'm seeing here. This is something so incredible how this person created it, and just at the same time remind ourselves that this is also something that we should aim for, to really be happy and really be content and achieve these moments for ourselves.
How did the artist's individual styles contribute to the central theme?
This theme is something that is something interesting for artists in their process, but I also wanted to present that visually in the drop. The piece has an inner flow, it flows with the world, with the energies, and so I was just thinking about artists that present that for me, and also to have different kind of mediums presented in that theme. We have digital painting with AI assistance. We have 2D animation, 3D animation, and pixel art GIF. So it covers a lot of very digitally native mediums, but they're still very different to each other, and they all have different kinds of flowing elements in the visuality and what they can represent and show to the observer. I think a lot of creators will say that they experience the flow state and need a state of flow to really obsessively create for hours and be concentrated on the matter. And so that's why I chose those artists, and I chose this different kind of mediums to just have this universal representation, flow, and the flow state. It doesn't matter with what you create, with medium you create, it can be achieved with basically anything.
How does Udo's art make you feel a part of something bigger?
I would say Udo has this very ethereal kind of pixel art gifs that like it just flows on, and you feel like you are part of something bigger, like the universe, some kind of pixel universe. It just feels very into flowing, and they also always have these kind of themes that are still also questioning our relationship to technology sometimes, or themes that go back to ancient things. There's different kind of subject matters that I feel very interesting, that I felt when I thought about the drop that could come out very interesting and would fit very well. So that's why I shoot them.
How does O. Elhan's art connect with the viewer? Elhan, I mean, this is an artist that I admired since I think 2021, when I started to collect, and I collected a piece of them and I felt it was just so differently, this kind of weirdness, but also very recognizable in their presentation of often humans, but without really a face. So it is very universal. Everyone can feel connected with it, but also disconnected because it's very weird, very abstract how the mind is depicted. So it's very interesting, and I love just the way the movement is working. Sometimes very, it's like flowing, but also contradictory. The movement abruptly changing, or something exciting is happening always, and it's always, you really get absorbed into their art and really want to understand what is it, what they want to depict, what they want to tell us, which story about human states of mind. And this is a theme that is very interesting to me, and it fits very good to the flow theme, the flow of energies, the flow of natural systems, and the flow state. As an artist, everything comes together in their art, what it represents. How is Everfresh's visual language ideal to represent flow state?
So Everfresh, for me, it was the first artist that I thought about when it came to the flow state. And his pieces always are the literal representation of flow, right? Every piece is just, it flows perfectly with the music, the movement that he frame by frame visually paints is incredible. But it's always so interesting. It always happens something in his pieces that you don't expect to happen, and it's a movement or a flow that opens up something different to you than you would think about yourself. And this is something that I feel very interesting about art. If the artist has this kind of visual language where they show you things that you couldn't think about. In every piece you see this kind of flowing movement. It's always different, it's always interesting, and so it was for me the perfect representation of the theme. And he also said that you picked that theme for me, right? And so basically probably
How can Jenny's art represent flow state with static imagery?
Jenny, also one of the artists that I admire since a long time ago, and she has one of my most precious pieces in my collection. I feel it's interesting when it comes to flow, also that you have this kind of static image, and not just because when you think about something flowing, of course it's moving, and animated pieces make a lot of sense. Animated art makes a lot of sense when you want to depict flowing of energies, flowing of natural systems, of everything around us, of being in flow with yourself and creating. But for me to demonstrate that, or to show that in a static image, is something very special. And I feel this collaboration of hers with the GAN systems, with the AI, it achieves that this kind of very
foggy kind of flow that she paints a lot over it, right? But you still feel there's this magic that came from the original GAN image, and she just perfectionates that into her own mystical beings that always have also a lot of stories behind them. The subject matter of her pieces always has some inner flow and is showcasing different themes very naturally and very hidden. Okay, but behind that, you can just do that because you have a lot of knowledge, you have skill, you have this experience, everything that subconsciously comes together in creating in the flow state. You can only achieve that flow state when you have all these things in the first place.